welcome back to another episode on Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm an anxiety coach who helps people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally. On today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is how our mind creates our reality. And this is very important to understand. Like whenever we don't even deal with anxiety to even people that are dealing with anxiety. Because a lot of times we have a certain belief about ourselves, about situations, or how we see certain things, and we operate according to that. And that can affect us a lot, especially whenever you're dealing with anxiety. Because we know that whenever you're dealing with anxiety, we are afraid that something bad is going to happen or something bad is happening right now. Like, for example, when we're having a panic attack and our chest is hurting, we're thinking that we have a heart attack. But in reality, nothing really is happening. In reality, the only reason why we're having chest pains is because of our panic attack, and it has nothing to do with our heart. But our mind can create this reality, and we believe this reality. We believe it, and it's crazy. When I was thinking about this, it was in the middle of the night before I was going to bed, and I just think about things like this all the time. About how can I improve my life and what's stopping me, and I realized my mind stops me a lot. It stops me a lot from growing, and it creates this certain reality. Let's say, for example, I'm worried about something. I'm automatically living in that reality, and I'm operating according to that worry. And I stop myself. I'm like, wait, but why am I worried? Well, what's the reason I am worried? What's going on over here? And that's something we need to ask ourselves. Okay, wait, what's going on over here? Why am I acting this way? Does it mean really that my thoughts that whatever I'm worried about is going to actually happen? Most of the time, if you realize that whatever we worried about doesn't really come into fruition, it doesn't really happen. And what happens is that our energy and our entire mindset and everything that we do is according to that worry. So if a person is worried that they're going to have a panic attack, or they're going to have an anxiety attack, or their anxiety is going to come back, who says that it's going to come back? Because your mind is thinking that way. Your mind right away is thinking, hey, that's what's going to happen. If you go there, you're already predicting the future. And we can change that reality. It doesn't have to be that reality. It's just a thought. And we need to be aware about that. Hey, let's take a step back and understand. It's just a thought. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. Whatever you're worried about, it could be worried about finances, it can be worried about relationship, your kids, whatever it is, your anxiety, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. But it's a defense mechanism that we use in order to protect ourselves so that we shouldn't get hurt. But the thing is that it stops us from growing. And this is what stops a lot of people from overcoming their anxiety, is that they do not want to do certain things that's going to make them feel uncomfortable because they're afraid something bad is going to happen, because that's what they think, and it stops them from overcoming their anxiety, and they're stuck in this box. They're stuck in this trap, and they don't know how to get out. It's because we're not willing to take the risk to expose ourselves to certain situations that's actually going to help us to overcome. But the first thing that we need to do over here, that what we want to do, is be aware of this thing. That our mind is playing tricks with us. Our mind is dictating what's going to happen. And we need to dictate. We need to tell the mind, no, this is what's going to happen. We want to change from a negative to more of a positive. And if you realize our mind affects our emotion, and our emotion affects our action. So again, we're going to work according to whatever we think about. If we don't think we're good enough, we're going to work according to that. If we don't think we're able to overcome our anxiety, we are not going to try to overcome it. We're not going to try to do it. Our mind is going to create that reality, like, hey, this is where you're going to be. This is where, for example, is that I used to think that I'm going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life. I'm never going to overcome my anxiety. I'm never going to get out of this thing, especially with DPDR. And it made me feel hopeless. It made me feel depressed. It made me feel like there's no point of living, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life. But we need to catch those thoughts. We need to catch them and say, whoa, 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 wait 1 second. Who says that's what really is? I remember I went to a seminar, and I remember in this seminar that they said that we are meaning-making machines. We basically put meaning in everything. But if we take a step back, let's say, for example, someone's afraid of going in the car because they're scared they're going to get a panic attack, or they're afraid of going on a plane, mall, whatever it is. They're afraid that it's going to trigger their anxiety, or even if they're scared of their anxiety, right? Because they fear that they're going to have a heart attack or something bad is going to happen, which if you realize we are putting meaning to the situation. But what we could do is just tell ourselves that there is no good, there is no bad. What's happening right now is that I am just going in my car. I am just going to the mall. I am just going somewhere. I am just doing this. I'm just experiencing anxiety symptoms. I am just experiencing symptoms, not even anxiety. Symptoms. I'm just experiencing that. I'm experiencing chest pains. The meaning, we can choose the meaning. We choose the meaning of the situation, not automatically what the anxiety tells us. You have to understand the anxiety is going to tell us otherwise. It's going to tell us otherwise and tell like, hey, but what if this? And what if it's like this? And what if you're having a heart attack? Or what if you're having your anxiety that's happening right now? What if it means that you're dying right now? Something extreme, something negative right away. That's what the anxiety is going to do. And there's a reason why it's there to protect you. It needs to protect you. And the way it protects you is using those kind of thoughts, those kind of negativity. What we need to do is stop listening to the anxiety. Stop listening to our mind. And understand like, hey, just because I'm thinking about this doesn't mean that's the way it's going to happen. There are different ways of way it's going to happen. I remember when I was first, I used to be terrified of sales, terrified of making phone calls and selling things over the phone. I used to be terrified. I didn't like doing it. I didn't believe in myself, and I thought that I'm bothering people and that people are going to get annoyed. I'm going to get rejected, and I didn't do it. My mind said, Emmanuel, you can't do it. People are going to reject you. You have nothing to offer. You're not interesting. You're boring, and they're just going to hang up the phone on you. That's what's going to happen. I remember I was about 22 years old, I would say, something like that. And I remember I was working in a company, and I was doing the customer service on that company. And I wanted to go to the sales team. And the sales team seemed like they were having a blast. They were making money and everything. I'm like, you know what? I always wanted to go into sales, but I didn't believe in myself. My mind told me automatically, Emmanuel, you can't do it. You're not going to be able to succeed. You don't have the skills. You don't have the experience. You don't know how to sell. People are going to reject you, and that's it. But what I did is that I took the risk, and I said, you know what? I'm going to try. And I listened to videos on YouTube about how to, certain sales techniques and, certain things that you can do while you're on the phone call, all these things. And I learned it. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to try to do the sales. And I psyched myself, Emmanuel, you're going to do great. You are going to be very interesting on the phone. People are going to buy from you and everything. I told myself this. And I told the manager and the sales team, like, listen, I want to join the sales team. He's like, are you sure? You're in customer service. I'm like, I want to do it. He's like, all right, no problem. I transferred over to the sales team. And within about, I think it was 6 weeks to a month, 6 weeks to 2 months, I became the number one salesman over there. Which I was shocked. I was closing sometimes 6 deals a day, where on average was 1, because it was kind of hard to sell this product. But the thing is that I sold 6. Sometimes that wasn't all the time. Sometimes my average was about 2 to 3 a day. But sometimes I even hit 6 a day, which was like, whoa. But the whole entire thing, you see, my mind created this reality. Like, man, you can't do it. You're not going to become successful. You're going to get rejected. You're going to fail. You're not going to make money. Nothing. It just destroyed everything. And what I did is I took the risk. I exposed myself to the situation, and things weren't as I expected to be. It was completely the opposite. Yeah, I prepared myself. And this is what you should do with your anxiety. So let's say, you're afraid of going into the car. or going to the mall or whatever it is, and you're terrified of it, or even if you're terrified of your anxiety, what you could do is prepare yourself in how to deal with the anxiety. How can I stop the anxiety? How can I overcome this situation? And it may not be, and you can tell your brain, you can tell the anxiety, like, hey, listen, it doesn't mean because I'm going to get into the car, I'm going to experience a panic attack or an anxiety attack. It could be that I'm going to enjoy the car ride and everything is going to go smoothly and I'm going to have a good time. It doesn't mean whatever my mind automatically predicts and says that's what's going to be. And I've had this situation so many times in my life where my brain said one thing and it happened completely different. For example, starting this podcast, or even better, becoming an anxiety coach. Who am I? I was to myself, who am I to become an anxiety coach? No one's going to listen to me. I may not even help anybody. I don't think I'm able going to be. I don't think I was able, and for years, I would think in my mind, I cannot help anybody overcome their anxiety. For years, and even when I had the evidence, where I did help some people, a handful of people, I still didn't believe that I was able to do it on a larger scale because these are the people that I knew and I was comfortable. Like, yeah, I know them. I'm more comfortable with them. I'm able to speak with them and more freely. With other people, I wouldn't be able to. People are going to say, like, who are you to be able to help me out? You're just an anxiety coach. And what I did, I'm like, no, Emmanuel, you have to do this. This is something that's going to be able to help other people. And even if you help one person, it's worth it. And today I'm able to make an impact on people's lives. And I see that through my personal sessions where people are actually improving and they're getting out of their anxiety. And you see that mind, the reality that my mind created was fake. It wasn't real. So whenever we're worried about something, we have to question that worry and say, why am I worried about this? Why am I worried about my finance? Why am I worried about I'm going to have an anxiety attack? What am I worried about my relationship? My kids. A lot of people, they worry about their kids. Something bad is going to happen to their kid. I want to make sure they're going to be okay. Why are we automatically thinking that? We should start thinking more in a positive way. Change the meaning. Or take a step back and don't give meaning at all and say, hey, this is just the situation. This is what it is. I am just going into the car. I am just going to the mall. There is no panic attack. There is no anxiety attack. There is no good time or bad time. What's happening right now, and that's the truth, that I am just going into the car. That's what it is. So if we're able to take a step back and be aware of our thoughts that we're having, that's consuming us, that's making us feel a certain way, and that's making us feel this reality, we need to take a step back and be aware, okay, this is not reality. This is not the truth. The truth, I can choose how I'm going to see it. But first things first is, this is what the reality is. The no meaning, no positive, no negative. And then we can instill the positivity to it. And the hopefulness, being hopeful about the future instead of being negative about the future and being like it's not going to work out. Tell yourself like, hey, it's going to work out. Instead of telling yourself, you know what, I'm going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life with anxiety. I'm never going to get out. Take a step back. Say to yourself, you know what the reality is right now? I am feeling symptoms. I am going through this right now. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to get out of this one day and I'm going to become a much better person because of it. And I am not going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life. I am going to overcome this. Empower yourself. We want to change those thoughts, that reality that's creating this fake reality, which is not even true because 99% of the times that we think that something bad is going to happen, doesn't really happen. It doesn't happen. So why do we waste so much energy on it? Why do we waste so much time on it? It doesn't really help. It doesn't help whatsoever. So guys, let's try to be more aware of the thoughts that we're having. Take a step back and change the meaning to a more positive thing. And you will see you're able to overcome and calm down your anxiety much quicker. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because this way we're able to reach more people. And the more people that we can actually reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because my mission in this world, my purpose is to help people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally and show them that it's possible to overcome. Thank you guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.